Around the World segment tonight, an anti-Israel event hosted in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill using our tax money to demonize a national ally. Democratic Congressman Mark Pocan from Wisconsin was outed as the man behind the anti-Semitic forum. But after he was exposed, Pocan went into hiding and didn't even show up at his own event. Joining me now from the Washington Free Beacon, Adam Kredo. Adam, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, Adam, you outed him. This was this event. It was called 50 Years of Israeli Military Occupation and Life for Palestinian Children. You outed Congressman Pocan as the guy behind this. How'd you figure that out?
Well, it took a combination of source work and a lot of calls. I'd first learned about the conference about a week before it was set to take place, and something like this is really unprecedented. There's never been a forum on Capitol Hill sponsored by so many groups that support boycotts of Israel, which of course are anti-Semitic in nature, and that have been so vociferous in their criticism of Israel, that is distributing propaganda to defame, delegitimize the Jewish state. So just on that foot, it was incredibly unprecedented. And look, usually members who sponsor these types of forums, they routinely take place on the Capitol, are proud to sponsor it. They step forward and, in fact, according to the House rules, are usually made to attend the events that they reserve space for. That was not the case. Pocan wanted to be anonymous. Others who have tried to organize anti-Israel forums that have been canceled have tried to remain anonymous. And, of course, that was not the case with this one. It went on as scheduled, and Pocan, through a combination of remaining silent and essentially hiding, that is, not answering press requests and being accountable for his behavior, was allowed to see this thing through.
Right. I mean, with all due respect, I guess, to his position as a congressman, what a coward. I mean, not only for sponsoring this and hosting this, but then for hiding, not even attending. Like you said, it's not only customary, it's almost written into the rules that congressmen have to attend the events that they pay to host on Capitol Hill here. This is the problem. Besides just being a member of Congress and this being anti-Semitic, you know, and him being cowardly for not supporting Israel's right to defend themselves, did our tax money pay for any of this, Adam?
Well, essentially, any event that's put on Capitol Hill incurs some sort of expense. It's unclear exactly how much this costs. There is a time issue and that type of thing for reserving space, having an official forum there. But honestly, I don't think the expense is that great. I think it's the message that it sends. Now, note that not a single member of Congress attended this event, and that says something, not only that those who might be willing to support it hid away due to so much spotlight and public attention on the event, but also that Congress, by and large, is incredibly pro-Israel. There's no appetite or taste for this kind of event that is so clearly partisan and agenda-driven. It's not a legitimate criticism of the Jewish state. These organizations, as a source said to me, have Jews on the brain, and I think that's a very dangerous thing, not just for the message it sends to our ally Israel, but also for the message it sends to the American public about what exactly is going on Capitol Hill. It's pretty embarrassing to Pocan and distasteful from the viewpoint of what message is being sent by this event. BDS and boycott to the Jewish state are a very pernicious thing and has been rejected wholesale by not just Congress, but individual states. So for this to go forward in a kind of official capacity, I think that Pocan should be upfront about what he believes and why he sponsored it. If he's so into this type of thing, why not go on the record about it?
Right, right. And of course, he's always welcome on this show if he wants to come on and defend his views. We would allow him to finish his sentences. We would allow him to hear, to allow our viewers to know what he has to say and why he did this. Because, I mean, I think he owes them an explanation. This is not just a difference in policy. I understand that Democrats and Republicans have different philosophies when it comes to policies, even different philosophies when it comes to how much military aid or how much of our tax money goes to Israel. I can accept that people have different philosophies, but supporting the BDS movement or calling for the boycott of the Jewish state, that's a fundamental difference. That's not a policy difference. That's a fundamental difference that is basically saying that the Jewish people who live in Israel do not have a right to live there and do not have a right to a homeland or to exist. And that's purely anti-Semitic. That's not a policy difference. Adam, some of the speakers at this event, they accused the IDF, that's the Israeli Defense Forces, of torture, beatings, detention without trial, and assassination of Palestinian citizens. Is that accurate?
No, it's certainly not accurate at all, and it's actually really propaganda in an effort that a lot of these groups use to slander the IDF. They oppose certainly what they call the occupation of Palestinian lands, but of course we know from multiple research investigations, even investigations the IDF has performed on itself, something that most militaries are not willing to do, that they're one of the most humanitarian forces in the globe, and they certainly are one that cares about human rights. We're talking about a military that drops pamphlets to tell people they're going to drop bombs before they actually do. It's somewhat unheard of for any other military. Certainly the U.S. doesn't even do this, and we're quite humanitarian. So again, look, this is all about a propaganda effort. This is about mainstreaming views that are so incredibly fringe that a lawmaker like Pocan wouldn't even publicly be associated with it. And again, it's the hiding that I think really needs to be called out here, not the fact that he sponsored it. If he believes this, explain why.
Right, right. And it's funny to me, too, how these speakers who accuse the IDF of essentially committing war crimes, committing unhumanitarian, just absolutely atrocious acts, how they fail to mention that the Palestinian terrorists hide their weapons in elementary schools and in hospitals, how they use civilian children as human shields to protect themselves against strikes from the Israelis, how they sponsor, the Palestinian Authority sponsors television programs for children, again, children's television programs, that talks about drinking the blood of Israelis, how the Palestinian Authority, again, pays hundreds of millions of dollars to the families of terrorists who kill Israeli citizens and American citizens, too, when they're in Israel. It's absolutely shameful that they forget to talk about that, and it's funny, too, that they're too cowardly to mention it. Adam, thanks for exposing this, and thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it.